You cannot allow other people to validate you because you are just who you are. This is the time that you must recognize that you have something that is special and let the world know that you do matter in this society, that you have something great within you, that you have power, that you have will, that you have strength. I will tell you this. Don't accept defeat. Don't accept excuses. Don't accept the fact that you think that you don't have what it takes when you know deep inside yourself you have it. And stand tall. So prove them wrong, but prove yourself to be right. Right in your decisions, right in your mistakes, right in your failures. I'm telling you that you have to deflect instead of absorb the negative energy. None of us will truly know success until we understand what it means to be pushed down a few times. You can't get a win without a loss. You can't go further in life without taking a few steps back. But you got to have the faith in yourself. You got to believe and you got to stand on it. And you got to know that you can do this and give it everything you have within yourself. You must understand that we all have unique qualities within us, but we have to apply ourselves day in and day out. Yes, there are people out there right now that doubt you. And no matter how hard you work at your craft, they will still find some fault in you. All of the hard work, all of the struggles, all of the mistakes, all of the setbacks are just a part of your growth.
Some people living in very bad parts of the world that are subject to all kinds of difficulties at the hands of someone else who are probably going to disagree with that statement. But it's a collective consciousness, folks. It's just that certain parts of it hold more cards than the other parts, and so they tend to inflict themselves upon others. But you see, the reality that is, well, a lot of it is due to the corrupt and meaningless education systems that have been constructed for our societies. People are becoming more and more disconnected from the source, disconnected from self. And due to this lack of knowledge and this lack of understanding of reality, the world is becoming polarized. Because the less you know about the game of life and the less you remember that you're simply a player in the game of life, then the more senseless that it becomes. But the real point is that it's our own personal choice of whether to embrace that reality or not. All of these negative things life itself is providing you with, these are simply tools. You know, all the stuff that's around you, these are simply tools, and you can do with it what you will, but a lot of people don't see it. It's not the tool that's the problem. You know, it's not the fact that such instruments of negativity are there for us to freely use. It's how people react to these tools.
When you create yourself to make it, you're going to have to either let that creation go and take a chance on being loved or hated for who you really are, or you're going to have to kill who you really are and fall into your grave grasping onto a character that you never were. I saw this psychic palm reader sign, and she gave me a reading, and she said, you're about to do 3 things, 3 movies that will be very, very, very big and very important. And after that, it will be impossible for anyone to knock you down from that place. It's a series of like crushing disappointments. And I just go into a different gear. I go into, don't know how it's going to write itself, but it will. No, I don't know how. The guy who had the substitute teacher in grade 2 who said that, whenever I want something, I pray to the Virgin Mary and I ask her for it and I promise something in return and I get whatever I want.
So didn't you write yourself a check? I heard that you did. Is that true?
I wrote myself a check for $10 million for acting services rendered, and I gave myself 5 years.
Some of you are just trying to get by. You got so many pressures on you. You want to make your family proud. You know what I'm saying? You want to get good grades. You want to make people proud. But then you also have friends and you want to be cool in their eyes and you want to kind of fit in there. And then some of you are in a really weird place. You feel like people don't understand you. You feel like you're having a hard time to connect with people. When you wake up in the morning, you feel like you're in the slumps and you feel tired and drained. Like, I get it. I've got a message for you, right? The people, those of you that's looking for acceptance from others, you're going to have to make up in your mind and say, you know what, whether you accept me or not, I'm amazing, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm talented. Because if not, if you live for their acceptance, you'll die from their rejection. So you got to tell yourself, you know what, I know I'm amazing and I know I'm smart. And those of you that feel like you're in a really weird place, those of you that feel like nobody understands you, those of you that feels like, man, I'm just here, but I'm having a hard time connecting with people. You lost your zeal. You lost your passion. You know, you feel like, you know, what's the point of living? You feel like you could relate to what they were doing in the skit. Here's my advice to you. Don't keep it to yourself. The worst thing that you can do when you're in that dark place is to just let that thing push you off in the corner. I'm going to challenge you to come to the light and be bold and be brave enough and be vulnerable enough to say, hey, you know what? I need help. I can't do this by myself. And you know why I'm an advocate for that so much? It's because to this day, I'm in my 30s and I still got counselors I meet with. And I still have counselors and therapists that I sit down with. And I have a counselor of people that I can meet with and connect with. Crazy, right? Some people look at me and they see our nonprofit in South Africa. They see how we're feeding and clothing people. They see my family, my wife. They see all of that and they're like, oh, Jeremy, your life's just so awesome. And I'm like, you know what? Life is good, but that don't mean I don't have struggles. That don't mean I don't have doubts. That don't mean that I don't have some insecurities. That doesn't mean that, I don't sometimes question like, man, am I good enough? Sometimes I still hear that voice. Sometimes I go back to like being that little boy in the hallway that ever heard that teacher tell my mom that I wasn't high school material. Then I have to remind myself like, no. That's not true. I am that. I can do that. I can achieve that. Sometimes I have to remind myself, what am I telling you? Like life can be hard. Life can be rough, but there's something special. And there's something powerful about the human mind and about the human spirit and about the human will when you tell yourself, I won't give up, I won't surrender, I won't quit. I'm going to show up every single day and do the best that I can.
I saw myself walking across the stage at 191 pounds. That's what I had to get to get into the door. I saw myself 6 months, a year later, whatever's going to take me to do it. I saw myself walking across that stage, getting that certificate of graduation from Buds. And I was able to be there, and that feeling that I was nowhere near that feeling, I was able to put myself there 1,000,000 times every day. And that feeling of like, my God, that is going to feel amazing. That's what made me suffer. That's what allowed the pain to be real and say, this is worth it. I want to feel for this next 18 months. It took me 18 months to finally become a Navy SEAL, to finally, just get through Buds. 18 months, it's 6 months, it took me 18. That's what woke me up every morning was, I'm gonna put myself through this much pain and suffering for a few seconds. That's all it is. A few seconds of joy. It's so worth it, man. I said, people don't get, so I'm able to put myself at the finish line, even though I have no finish line, but at the finish line of an event before I even start them. They say, how are you going to feel at the end of this? Visualizing is my biggest tool of life. That's why I've been able to put myself in cold water, put myself in a 100-mile race millions of times before I've done it. And I'm able to go through the race and see how I'm going to feel at mile 50, almost to the exact feeling.
Right. So when it comes up, it's no surprise.
It's no surprise. I've already done this a million times.
I recommended the last time I was here the little book, Richest Man in Babylon, and I said I've lectured now to over 3 million people. Guess how many have actually gone and got this little book? Answer, very few. My best guess is 10%. Such an easy thing to do. This little book, number one, is easy to find. Number two, it's easy to buy. The most you can pay for it, $6, $7, $8. You can borrow that from your kids. But if it's easy to find and easy to buy, and if it's easy to read, why wouldn't everybody go get it? We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. Here's how profound it is. Some do and some don't. Now here's the numbers. About 10% do.